some of the things that, so those are, you know, I guess what happened from that point on? Did you go to different boroughs? Did you rock at like showcase shows, contests? Like what were some of the more significant things later that you guys had done?
Well, we did this, we was strictly battling in basic projects, the CBS crew. We went to PS 140 Park, we did the park jams there, we did park jams at the new park on Merrick Boulevard in Baisley. But it was a teenage thing, we were teenagers. We didn't have managers, we weren't trying to get rich, we were just having fun and just expressing ourselves artistically. In terms of later on years, some of our DJs, they moved forward and they started doing bars and clubs. But for what we did in the community back in 77, 78, we did it to represent our homeboys because we didn't want our homeboys to lose and we wanted to represent our block. And, we were talented dancers, talented B-girls, talented B-boys. And that was, the early days of hip-hop. So we wanted to represent. For me, being a talented MC meant that I became very popular. It was a lot of jealousy and envy back then if you can MC, but it wasn't so much disrespect in terms of lyrically. If you could rhyme, you could rhyme. You couldn't fake it. I take my hat off to a lot of the young people that have continued and are now recording artists, and I'm glad that they have a formula to what they do. I didn't have the luxury of having a song and have it be heard first and then people like it, and then when I show up they go, oh, I like your song. I had to go to the park with hot rhymes that were hitting right off the bat. Like I had to say a rhyme that you just loved. If not, if it was whack, then it was like, you whack, like you can't get back on the mic. So that was very important at that time. There wasn't no commercial rhymes. You just rhymed about yourself, your sneakers, your friends, your block, your neighborhood, but you had to be able to articulate, you had to be able to rhyme. So I appreciate that, and I think it just made me a better writer and a better speaker.
Can you hold that below your chin so we can see your face?
Oh, yeah.
How did your family feel about you being in a crew and rapping and DJing and like pursuing it?
My family was good with it. My mom was happy. When I wrote rhymes, I would say all my rhymes to my mother. So they weren't like anything vulgar. I was a teenager. She would sit there and listen to all my rhymes. I would actually rhyme in Baisley Park, and my mom would sit on the step. I lived a few blocks from Baisley Projects. And when I came home, she was like, yeah, I heard you in the park. I heard you rhyming. And so that made me happy. My dad was happy, but my parents would let me record. And I was offered contracts, like 3 record contracts to record, and they were like, no, stay in school, just keep having fun. They didn't want me to get involved in the hip-hop industry. Looking back at it in hindsight, I'm glad my parents didn't let me get involved in hip-hop because I didn't know what I was doing, and they didn't understand it either. So teaching it now and teaching it in schools and colleges, I'm much more happy with that. But my family was proud of me, and I held it down. I was just really very lyrical, very poetic, and I still do write rhymes, and I still do teach and do demonstrations and MC.
Right. What are some of your highlights or favorite memories of all the things that you did back then, decades ago, that you think back on that have the most meaning to you?
I would say traveling around the city. As a fly girl, as a B-girl, going to Delancey Street, buying fly clothes to go to different parties at Harlem World and at Bronx River Community Center. One particular party I did in the mid-'80s when I was in my early 20s. My fiance at the time and his cousin, Bobby Francis, who's a famous Golden Glove boxer, his name was Spoon. He was from Bronx River Community Center. He gave a party, and it was down in Far Rockaway, and Just Dice was headlining the show. Just Dice had the song out called Latoya. So I said, look, I wanna go there, and I wanna say something. I wanna give a response to Latoya because I heard the song. I said, let me say something. This is about 86, 87. So I wrote a response to Latoya, and I did it at the party. And also on that party was Coogee Rock and Polo. Coogee Rap and Polo, excuse me. That was like one of their first parties in about 87. Of course, I haven't rhyming since 77. You know, they started after me. But I went and I opened and I had a young girl from Far Rockaway do the human beatbox, and I killed it, and all of the young people loved it. Just Ice came in, visibly upset, came in, you know, Just Ice used to be a bodyguard, like he's really big. He had on his big Dapper Don jacket, big Dapper Don Gucci hat, and he came in, he said, where's that B, I'm not gonna say the word, B-I-T-C-H, that dissed me. And so I was like, wow, is he talking about me? So he came in, and I was standing in the lobby with DJ Mike D and the promoter Spoon, and then he just stopped and he saw me with them, and I started, you know, yelling and cursing and everything at him, like, who you calling up? You know, whatever. To this day, he never heard the rhyme that I said in response to his song Toya. But for me, it was a learning lesson, because to me, I'm a battle MC. Like, that's what we did, was battle in the park. I heard the song, I just made a rhyme. I didn't know he was going to get mad, like going to beat me up. I was like, what is this? So it was a memorable moment. To this day, he never heard the rhyme I said. The crowd loved it. That's what was important to me. But it was like, to me, I was like, it's just a rhyme. Like, you know, what are you mad for? But, you know, since then I've learned that these MCs, you know, they want to fight, kill, and beat each other up because you said rhyme. I didn't come up like that. You say rhyme, you say it. It's good, it's good. If my rhyme is better than yours, it's better than yours, and we just go on to the next day. We didn't have to fight each other. I mean, that's the reason why we were battling in the first place, because we weren't supposed to be fighting. Like, this was a means of conflict resolution. But that had to be a memorable moment for me. And just being a part of the movement before there was anything called hip hop. You know, going to all the historic parties and being here in South Jamaica, Queens, and being part of the foundation.
And many years from now,